What up? This is Final Boss. This is your writing tip of the day. Whether you're reading something that you're enjoying or not, ask yourself why it is or isn't working and what the writer is doing well and poorly. Remember, reading is the other half of writing. And I think this is especially important for new writers. One of the things I see very, very, very often when I'm doing editing is kind of issues on both levels, both in the prose, in terms of how paragraphs are structured, how to lead into a scene, starting with scene description, then action, then dialogue, those types of mechanics. I think a lot of beginning writers benefit so much from reading. And while, watching TV, watching or reading comics does help you a lot with your story structure and learning about what story elements are working. The prose element happens so much at the reading prose level because that is really the execution level. So the things that I would really encourage writers who want to read well to do: break out your highlighters. I actually have an article in my blog post. You go to finalbossediting.com, the blog about the highlighters. And what you should do is start highlighting the different types of speech. Maybe just in a chapter you like. See how much scene description is going in. And a lot of times you'll find there's way less scene description than you expect, especially in modern literature, because they're just using really evocative details to build out the entire scene with just a few details that kind of paint the picture of everything else. The other thing to really think about when you're asking these plot level questions, when you don't like a character, when you don't like somebody, figure out why. Really, honestly, write it in the margins. Always, if you can, read with a pen, or if you're reading digitally, write those notes in, which most of those digital readers app will let you write a highlight or a note. And if you say, this scene really bothered me, or this was boring, if you find yourself getting bored, ask yourself what it was. I was actually reading a book recently where it has great concepts. I won't mention the name because it's actually someone who I've edited on this stream before, as a matter of fact. But I was kind of finding myself slowing down a little bit. It had some great concepts, but they were spending so much of the second act in backstory and world building. Like they did a good job of front loading, of getting the beginning moving, but the back side of the story became so world building driven, and backstory driven, and that the actual core plot was not moving forward at the pace that I prefer, at least. So these are really, really helpful things to say, oh, like, if I'm going to be using a lot of backstory, and that's kind of the takeaway, right? If I'm going to be using a lot of backstory, if I don't want it, at least for my taste, to be a slower read, I'm going to have a change of fortune in the current flow of the narrative. So stuff like that is really, really important. Why do I not like this character? Why does this feel slow to me? You know, reading books, and then when you put them down, if you have not picked them up in a week, you should ask yourself why. And that is honestly the most important thing, is along with asking questions about what you are reading, ask questions about what you're not finishing, because those are really the problems a beginning writer is going to have more trouble with. And obviously, one of the best things you can do for your writing is not just reading and analyzing published work, which is really important. Like, yes, read and analyze published work, but it's going to have a lot of polish that is already there. So my next recommendation, honestly, would be to seek out other writers and edit their unpublished work, because a lot of the things that will be hurting their draft, making you say, like, I don't get it, what's going on here, those things will be much more transferable to your writing. And those will also be more generally on the prose level, where, there's a paragraph that's not structured well, or a flow of logic in introing into a scene or introing into thought. We talked about in some of the other tip videos, but those are some of the tools that I think can help you, hopefully, be a reader who can improve their writing by their reading. Good luck.